There's a specific phrase I hear Indian parents use that sounds like love but acts like poison. You look at your 13 or 14-year-old child who is full of energy, curiosity, and potential, and you decide to hold them back. You say, let them be kids. There is time. We don't need to worry about the real world yet. You tell yourself that starting their professional development now is too early. You think saying it's too early protects your child? No. Too early is the most dangerous lie you could tell yourself. While you are holding your child back to protect their childhood, the economy is moving forward. By the time you decide they're ready at the age of, say, 22, the winners have already been picked. You aren't protecting them, you are rendering them obsolete. That obsolescence is happening right now under your nose. The race doesn't start at campus or placements. It started 3 years ago. And while you were pausing the game to let them be kids, someone else was playing to win. We need to understand why you feel this way. It's because you are operating on a calendar that expired 30 years ago. In the India of the 1990s, the era where you grew up in, the wait and see model worked. The path was linear. You went to school to learn obedience. You went to college to get a stamp of approval. And then the job market, companies like Tata, Infosys, Wipro, they would take you in the fresher, right? They would train you. Back then, starting early meant financial desperation. If a 14-year-old was working in 1995, it meant the family was in trouble. So, culturally, we trained our brains to believe that a child who works is a tragedy and a child who studies is a luxury. But that social contract is dead. Parents, stop parenting from memory. You are using 1990s logic for a 2026 economy. In your time, companies hired freshers and trained them. Today, companies want plug and play talent. They don't want to train your 22-year-old. They want a 22-year-old who already has skills of a 30-year-old. If you wait until graduation to build skills, you haven't raised a student. You have raised a liability. The training period is over. The performing period starts at 15. This is the parental lag. You're optimizing for a world where degrees were like scarce and skills were trainable. We now live in a world where degrees are commodities and skills are the only currency. When you delay exposure, you aren't saving them from any stress. You are compounding it. You're taking 10 years of necessary growth, learning to fail, learning to sell, learning to build, and compressing it into a 6 months before they graduate. That is not protection. That is a setup for a nervous breakdown. Let's talk about what they are doing actually with this childhood that you're protecting. Tell me one thing. But they're so busy. They have tuition, they have homework. Really? Data shows that the average urban Indian teenager spends 6 to 8 hours per day on screen. Are they studying, learning? What are they doing? Are they analyzing cinema? Are they reading Dostoevsky? Are they debating geopolitics? No, they're consuming dopamine. They're scrolling. They're watching other people live. When you say, I don't want them to work, you are actually facilitating this. I'm okay with them being zombies. Most parents think starting early means child labor. No, it means saving your child from being a zombie. Your kid spends 6 hours a day consuming content. This isn't childhood, that's addiction. Starting early just means flipping that switch from consumer to creator. Instead of playing the game, learn to code it. Instead of watching a YouTube, edit the video. Don't raise a user, raise a master. This shift from consumer to creator is the single biggest predictor of future success. A child who consumes is passive. They wait for instructions, they wait for entertainment. A child who creates is actually active. They look at the blank screen and see a canvas. If a 14-year-old learns to edit video, they aren't just learning a software, they are learning agency. They are learning that they have power to manipulate media, to evoke emotion, to sell an idea. That is power. And if you want to wait until they are 22 and give them that power, by then the brains has calcified into employee mode. They will sit in a cubicle waiting for a boss to tell them what to do. Because that is what they did for the first 2 decades of their life. Now, why doesn't the school encourage this? Why does the principal tell you to focus on board exams? Because the school is a business. I'm sorry to say this, but it is true. And like any businesses, they care about their marketing metrics, not your child's life outcomes. Their product is not your child's success. Their product is board exam results. Understand the difference. If your child gets 98% but has zero life skills, the school still wins because they get a billboard. But you lose because you have to support an unemployed adult. Stop outsourcing your parenting to a system that doesn't care if your child is employable in 2030. The school creates test takers. You need to build rainmaker. Parents, you are the custodian of your child's future. The school is just a vendor. Do not let the vendor dictate the terms of the product. In an AI driven world, memory is the cheapest commodity on earth. It can access the sum total of human knowledge for just $20 a month on ChatGPT. If your child's only skill is, I can remember what is in the textbook, they are competing with a machine that remembers everything perfectly, never sleeps, and costs almost nothing. The market pays for what is scarce. Judgment is scarce. Leadership is scarce. The ability to handle failure, that is scarce and also priceless. And that brings me to the most painful part of this conversation, the mental health crisis. We have an epidemic of anxiety in this country. We have 23-year-olds burning out, quitting jobs, moving back home, paralyzed by fear. And parents ask me, did we push them too hard? No. The problem is you didn't push them at all. Pushing them does not mean that shouting at them for marks. You protected them from the small falls. So now they are facing a fatal fall. Imagine a child who starts a small business, maybe selling custom sneakers or running a memes page, only at an age of 14. They will fail. They will lose money. People might even leave mean comments. Good, because at age 14, the stakes are zero. They have a roof over their head and they learn to shrug it off because you will support them. They build resilience. They build callous over their ego. And now imagine a child who is protected. They only focus on study. They get A grades. They are praised constantly. They never see failure. Then at age 22, they sit for a job interview and the interviewer says, you aren't good enough. Imagine what goes through them: shock, disbelief, utter failure, depression, because they have zero emotional armor. The anxiety epidemic in our youth isn't because they started too early, it's because they started too late. If you don't let a 14-year-old fail when the stakes are low, they will collapse at 22 when the rent is due. You're robbing them of the vaccine of failure. Resilience is a muscle. If you don't exercise it in childhood, it atrophies. Stop protecting them from the struggle. The struggle is the point. You are sending soldiers into war without basic training. That is not love, that is negligence. I want to talk to parents directly now. I may be sounding harsh. I am sorry, but my intention is to help you. Unless I let you know directly, without holding back, you won't realize. I want to address the real reason you hesitate. It's not because you're worried about their childhood, but because you're worried about your authority, isn't it? As long as the game is cool, you are the expert. You understand marks. You understand report cards. You know how to judge if they are winning or not. But if they start coding, if they start trading, if they start building a digital community on Discord, suddenly you don't understand the game. You have no idea. You don't know the rules. And that scares you. You're afraid that if they enter a world that you don't understand, you will lose control. So you force them to get back into the world you do understand, the world of exams. Think about it. The real reason you say it's too early is your own limitation and fear. You know how to grade a report card. But if your 15-year-old builds a tech product, you feel stupid, right? You may feel obsolete too. So you force them back to study because that is the only domain where you still feel like a boss. You need to kill that ego. Your goal isn't to be the smartest person in the room. Your goal is to raise a child who surpasses you. Be the ladder, not the ceiling. Admit that you don't know. Sit down with your child and say, I don't understand how this AI works. Teach me. That vulnerability, that is not weakness. Rather, that is leadership. That is how you build a relationship with a future adult rather than just managing a child. So, what is the practical step here? I'm not telling you to pull them out of school. No, I'm telling you to implement the parallel curriculum. Give the school 80% of the time, which is fine. Let them get the marks. Keep the teachers happy. But the remaining 20%, the evenings, the weekends, the holidays, that's the sacred ground. That time is not for tuition. That time is not for homework. That time is for projects. Build a website, write a cold email to 50 people, organize a local event, edit a documentary about your grandmother. Could be anything. Something real, something tangible, something practical. Notice, none of this requires a textbook. It requires gut, it requires your brain, it requires critical thinking. That is how you build a portfolio. If you start this at 14, by the time they're 18, they will have 4 years of work experience. Imagine that. They will walk into any college not as a student, but as a professional who happens to be studying. That is an unstoppable advantage. I want you to fast forward to 2030. Your child is 24. They did everything you asked for. They waited, they studied, they got the degree. And now they're unemployed, staring at a rejection letter from an algorithm that chose a 19-year-old with a portfolio over a 24-year-old with a degree. They look at you, and what do you think they will say? They will ask, you knew, you saw the world changing. Why did you make me play a game that was rigged? Do not let that be your future. Too early is a lie. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best is right now. I want to hear from you in the comments. I want you to be honest. Are you holding them back? And if you are, is it because of love or is it because of fear? Let's argue this out. And if you know you need to build this parallel curriculum, but you don't know where to start, if you want a roadmap for that Ignite hour, book a clarity call with me. The link is below in the description. Stop waiting. The clock is ticking. I'm Anirban Bose. Get ready for the next class. See you.